What an absolutely awful fantasy game that was last night. The Roosters seem to be involved in a lot of really high scoring, fun clashes, back and forth, who's going to win. And I do not know how they lost this one. And it was an absolute Harry Grant masterclass there, using his forwards, Josh King there and Stefano Utekamanu with hectic tries on the line. And just the skill that he possesses is not like any other hooker in this game, apart from maybe Blake Brayley in the recent months. But he's done it for so long, and he does step up when it really matters. And he was the difference last night in a game where you lose your, let's say, best player, in Jahrome Hughes. Over the last couple of years anyway, he's been their guy and obviously gets them around the park. And Harry really stepped up directly into that role in this game. And I think fantasy-wise, he was -1 in 25 minutes, which is crazy to see. But as I said, the Roosters are in too many of these games where the defense is optional. There's some good tries and the like, but the fantasy scores that come out of these games that are usually pretty high, actual scoring, 34-30 in this one, usually directly results in pretty low scoring games. So we've got a few decent scores in there, like to some of those relevant guys. So Harry Grant was 73, was amazing. Missed 6 or 7 tackles really early and did great from there. But you had Crichton, you had Watson with 53 and 51. But outside of that, some really, really awful scoring, well under averages. And then the Jahrome Hughes injury. So we'll talk about that one first. Unfortunately for him, the dislocated shoulder scare, I think the first x-ray cleared any sort of broken bones or anything like that, and the next one will just show the extent of the dislocated shoulder damage, and there's a chance it's like a 3 to 6 week sort of healing process. They might be able to get him back basically for finals, which we've seen a few people do with dislocated shoulders and different things like that, the subluxations. And the alternative option, unfortunately, would be surgery if it's too bad, and he'll be back for next season. So that's the devastating news for Storm, and hopefully it's something that he can manage and come back for finals. But I think from a fantasy perspective, it's likely that he's out for the rest of the season, which is super, super tough, especially after the run that he's been on. He just started getting back into great form, and to cop an injury on a play that got called back for forward pass or whatever it was. Oh no, obstruction. So yeah, he was tackling Teddy he misses the tackle and does his shoulder. He doesn't get the missed tackle, one positive, but it was on a play that didn't even matter. So super tough for that one, and all the owners of Hughes. I've been ruining how good he's been going when I didn't own him, and a 65 average or something it's been in the last little bit. But I suppose the small positive is that he got 27. The big negatives is the fact that it is a 27, but it's the trade, man. Like, the last few weeks have been ridiculous for injuries. One of the boys in the private crew was telling me that he reckons since around, I think he said around 12 or 13, that he's had 1.5 injuries per week, which is just insane. And I think that if you're on that high level, like 1.5, I think most people would be about the 1.2, 1.3. Like, most people would be pretty high and needing to make trades for injuries week to week. And someone else has said the Thursday curse is real. And look, we've had our ups and downs. I feel like with Thursday, it's either really, really good or really awful. We've had, I think we had a 90 as captain and a few really good scores and stuff like that. But we also have these types of games where I don't think anyone would come out of this one happy with any of their scores. Really, I think I saw Nath, who's been on the channel a few times. He actually is on 0 points in this game. From this game, he had 0 players, which is pretty crazy. No loopers or anything like that as well, which most people, like myself, I've got 5 Roosters, no Storm players myself, but yeah, I think most people sitting, they have Hughes, they have Katoa, and then a few Roosters, or you at least have one of those two and a few Roosters. So yeah, I think most people are sitting in a spot where they're not really satisfied, unless you just had sort of like Crichton and Watson. I think you'd be pretty happy enough with those scores, and probably Teddy as well. So like those three, you're like, yeah, I'm sitting probably slightly better than other people there. I did end up deciding to hold on to Nwangi Tawaze. I had sort of 4 options that I was looking at personally, with Hughes probably being third on the list, I think. Huddy Young was up there. I think I had Paddy Carrigan And then Jahrome Hughes and Dylan Edwards were the 4 that I was looking at as a sell, a buy from Nawa. And because I couldn't really decide, it was getting later and later. I had to head off to basketball. I was like, I've been thinking about this for like a couple of days now, 3 days. I still can't make the decision. So it's probably just a loop and hold and make the decision next week. And I've been talking about sort of Isaiah Katoa being a guy now that, I got 35. He won't lose, like he's going to lose 30K or something like that, 30, 40, whatever it was. But I think I need to lose 55 or something like that, not to not be able to get ICAP. I think I can still get guys like Paddy Carrigan and whoever else next week. But yeah, like he actually came looking for some work, to be honest with you, at times. And he drifted over to the left and he was there for that, a couple of the bombs on the left-hand side that, Teddy was involved with. And he came over and sort of through the middle of the park and knocked that one back for the try assist to Docker Clay. I wish it was Watson, but Docker Clay seems to pop up in the right spot. He's scored a few tries this year. So like things like that were good. He got a couple offloads. That final play cooked him a little bit as well. And I think the 39 to 35 overnight didn't help either. But forward pass in the end to Teddy, who then flicked it back to him. And then Narwhal got the offload there. So would have been in the early 40s. And you'd probably look at that and go, oh, you could almost take that score. But a 35, I think you take the majority of players over him. You got Cooks, Jaden Brayley's, these types of guys, 100%. Latu Fainu and those types of players, a little bit more difficult. Like last week, I took clearly him over the 27 of Nawa, and he scored two points better. So yeah, it might be tough for him to get over that 35, especially not against an easy side in the Panthers. So yeah, you might have to take that type of score this week, the 35, and have him as a pretty clear sell going forward. Like he's got, he's definitely got some attack in him, but they, as you saw in this one, Tupou should have got a triple, which would have helped Teddy as well. A beautiful touch pass for Tupou, and he decided to change hands late, and as he was changing hands, dropped it. So that was tough for a Teddy 50 and probably a Roosters win. But in this one, it's Tupou all the way. Yeah, there should have been 3 tries, as I said, and that's happened the last few weeks. Billy Smith and Tupou were really working well together, and you had King in this one doing his thing. So you can see there, even like Rob Toy is getting up over 100 meters, but the attacking stats have left him as well since just before Origin and through Origin, where he was getting a lot of those tries with Narwa on his right as well. It's just not happening at the moment. So I have him as a pretty decent sell for myself, but we're also getting to this stage where you probably just need to be trading for injuries, unfortunately. So yeah, there's different options this week. If you're looking to make sort of a marginal upgrade from a guy that's a Cook or a Garrick, these types of players who I see already in the top 1,000 Yaffs are being traded out, and it makes it a little bit tough, I think, to make those types of moves when the injuries do come in first game. So I think some people probably should reverse trades right now. Down to 6.4 in the top 1,000 there, and with 1.1% of people captaining Jahrome Hughes was really tough as well. But a big spread. Payne Haas at 14.7, Cleary at 27.7, and then Terrell May at 54. So I personally stuck with Terrell, and I said it a while back, I was just going to stick with him, and I just think he loves playing with his brother Tiny. Like, you should. They did a little announcement before, and he's like super excited for him to be there, and thanking everyone for coming out, and then he goes and lobs an 80 and stuff. So he just looks so excited to play with his brother, and we thought maybe he was getting tired or whatever it was, but he a new lease on life now with his footy, which I think is pretty cool. But the guys, clear sells: Colo, Tino, Hugo. You got Nawa 63 sold, made sense. I was thinking about it. Garrick at 50, Tails Duncan at 40, perhaps likely back next week. I've been saying that you could probably sell him, but does he now with Hughes out have a more prominent role? Does he just need in your side as a playing player? Like, if you've got that many injuries and the way it's panning out, do you need to keep him? And then Damien Cook as well, 16 sold so far, which will end up probably more. But these types of guys, you got to question, are they better off staying in your side? I think is more the question there in this one. And so trades are being used already. So we've had three trades, 1.6%, 2 trades, 13.6%, and that'll increase a bit. But we're seeing our our first people. We have one person down to 0 trades in the top 1,000 already. So that's going to be a tough finish to the year, I'd imagine there. 14 already down to 2 and 39 down to 3. And I imagine a few of these guys have Jahrome Hughes as well, which is going to make it tough. Down to 4 is 120. And I think that'll be a lot of people after this week, sort of down to 4. But it's still 6 rounds after this. So it might be, if it keeps going this way, a bit of a survival of the fittest, unfortunately. But Harry Grant, he becomes very, very important, I think, in this side, and more important than normal with Hughes out. And Munster's going to become more important as well. And we'll see Tyron Wishart go into that 7 jersey. I think likely, he deserves that chance, I think. Or, Munster plays more of a 7 role and Wishart at 6, but that's probably the smart way that they will play it. And Wishart becomes definitely an option there. You saw him play this full game. I think he picked up like a 32 or something like that. Oh, he got upgraded 37. There you go. But yeah, 330 odd K or whatever it's going to be. He becomes a pretty interesting option as well at this nice price. So if you were looking at maybe doing an upgrade to a McEwen or something like that, then Wishart becomes a little bit more of an option as well. Grant, I think, is a pretty clear, solid option now, because he will have to step up that little bit more. And you saw it in this second half, and I think that should continue. Yes, the attacking stats won't be crazy every week, but he's one of those guys that is the captain of this side, and he'll have to lead that little bit more. Stefano, 68, he's one of his better games of the year, I thought. King with the double is crazy, so good. And then Collins up in the air, incredible play from him. Crichton just pretty awful at handling the ball, like errors in contact, errors just catching the ball in general. Like, he's got the offload, thank goodness, but there's other times where he just he gets through like half through the tackle and he's just standing there with the ball in hand, like, oh no, I'm not going to offload anymore. Like, he's put the offload away since we've bought, of course, but thankfully he's gone 53 or whatever it was last week at his price point of like 45, 46 is completely fine. So we'll take that. But he just doesn't seem the clear winning option. You had Sam Walker with 4 try assists, but that kick on third tackle late in the game was wild. Don't know why he's doing that. Watson played, with Sandon Smith going down, he played 53 minutes or something like that at 6, and thankfully managed some good run meters and some tackle breaks, which was nice, and ended up making 20 odd tackles at 6 in that time frame. So very happy to get a 51 out of him. But as we'll keep saying at the moment, Brayley was the clear best option a few weeks ago when we did buy Connor Watson. Now Howarth, 48, a really good game from him, fantasy wise. 10 tackle breaks, 180 meters with a try, so well done there. And then with Sandon Smith going down with the head knock, you had Spencer Leniu and Nafahu White both play early 60s minutes, and Nafahu's actually been doing that in recent history. But you can see there the run meters for Spencer low at 70, Nafahu White a little bit lower at 133 compared to where he has been. But just tackle numbers, 29 and 30 there, and just the 1 tackle break, so no attacking stats for either of them, and that's why they sit in that early 40s. So not the end of the world for Naf. Like, he's done an awesome job for me, and I'm just very, very happy with those minutes. Like, if he can keep that, you'd imagine that he'll hit like a 51 average pretty comfortably, I think. There'll be games where it's 53 like last week, and he'll have games that'll be higher than that. He had the 70 odd in the 70 odd minutes, and if he can get anywhere near 60 some games, like near a point a minute, he'll be awesome to finish out the year. And then Teddy, just hasn't been himself in recent history, and he's priced at 50, and he's been scoring well below that. So it could have been a 50 with that try assist, 8 tackle breaks, 188 meters with that other try assist. I think is obviously solid, but need to sort that one out a bit. And we'll need some Teddy tries as well. That always helps. So Naf White, he's probably a pretty clear hold. He's fit and playing good minutes. Eli Katoa, back-to-back, fairly low scores for him, 45 and 38 after the tremendous scores that he was displaying. So he's someone there that's just had a few too many negatives and hardly ran the footy. And with Hughes out of this side, I think it does make it a bit more difficult. He's great off the Hughes boot, but I also think Munster has good kicks in the within that 20 meter range. So I think he'll be able to get a few of those higher kicks with Munster, just like Munster can feed Xavier Coates as well. So it should be better from the next few weeks, but it is a worry without Hughes. he likely doesn't score as well, but it's probably like 3 or 4 to 5 points. And we'll just see how things go with Wishy or Pezzard, whoever plays, and Munster there. So 38, pretty down on that, but thankfully not injured in this one. I spoke about Nawa there. Feketi was the other one, so starting in the edge spot. Did have the head knock, so came off for Siwa Wong in about 25 minutes, and then came back on through the middle to then Naf White take him off after about 20 minutes there. So he is not the focal point. You see Collins, Lenu, and White are more of that. And if this is to continue, that's frustrating. I mean, he becomes like a looping option or potentially more on the sell side. So 45 minutes for him. Maybe it was going to be a 50 or 55, given he had to go off early and came back at, just after halftime, which was, I think Naf White came off for him at halftime before he got that return. So we don't know exactly what the minutes are going to look like with Wong back on the side. But does Wong go back to starting, all these types of things? But I doubt it's going to be huge minutes anymore. And someone like him who's a big workhorse and has footwork, he actually really suits the big minute edge role, right? Like more than the 50-minute middle role, which most people do, I suppose, if they like to get involved. And that's what Feketi does. So frustrating one there for him. But a 32 could have been worse as well in the 45 minutes. He really worked hard. And that's really it. Hey, Bradley down there with the 17, got the edge spot. People were looking at Trent Liero, and I had a few questions about him. And I know Marky Boy on the amateurs was mentioning him as a bit of a pod play because he's done really well the recent games. And then, of course, he lobs out his worst score in like years. It's how it works, isn't it? As soon as people start talking about him. But 19 and 51 after going like 60s and 70s with a double and all this kind of stuff. But 23 tackles for 5 misses, 72 run meters. This just reminds me of that Titans game last week with Beaufort Moore and going 29 and Chris Randall going 20 after how well they'd been going. It just reminds me of that. So bit of a shocker there for those ones. If you've got Egan Butcher, 11 minutes for 9. It was pretty gross there. So didn't use him for much. Used Steep for 24. So if you do own Steep there, the minutes are awful. So you'll have to get him out of your side. And then Xavier Coates, after a really good game, goes to 19. So Joe Chan, what about the work he put in? 30 and 38. That's it, guys. I think we'll leave it there for this one. Plenty in it. But Wishart will be interesting. Maybe reverse trades if you've got, if you need to trade Hughes and you're pretty low on trades. If you like trading marginally, upgrading. And we'll leave it there. That's the first game for the week. And then we've got Cows and the Dragons to kick this one off. If you've got Drinkwater, I think you can trust him in this one. And then Broncos and Eels tonight. I actually don't think... I have Payne Haas, thankfully, but don't have any other player in tonight's game. So should see some rank drops, and we'll see how the rest of the week goes. So good luck tonight, guys, and I hope you have a fun day.